Yes?
You're Paul Martell? How old are you?
Who are you?
Edward Sumner. Connie's husband.
Connie's, no habla inglés.
You just spoke English.
Oh. Did I say no habla? I'm sorry. I meant no Paul.
No Paul.
Yes, no Paul here. Nobody at all named Paul.
I have pictures of you and my wife together.
Pictures? Wow, pictures. Listen, I'm Paul's twin. I'm his twin brother, Pubert.
Pubert?
Yes, Paul and Pubert. That was us. Thick as thieves. Well, he's not here right now, but I'll be sure to tell him you came by.
Can I just come in?
You know, the place is a mess. I'm a mess. The world's a mess. I couldn't possibly. You're not armed, right?
No.
Good to know. Good to know. You won't be firing shots to the door. Okay, bye-bye. Well, does this still work? The podcast that looks at all movies and asks, does this still work? I'm Joe Dixon.
And I'm George Romacka. And today we're discussing Unfaithful from 2002 and some historical context. First, podcasty stuff. We're excited to announce that we've joined the Creator Accountability Network. CAN is a nonprofit dedicated to reducing harassment and abuse through ethical education and a system of restorative accountability. We joined because we care about the safety and well-being of our community members. If you feel our behavior or content has harmed someone, please report it to CAN, either via the reporting form on their website, creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org, or via their hotline at 617-249-4255. They'll help us make it right and avoid repeating that mistake in the future. CAN also needs volunteers from our communities to help with their work, so if you have skills you think would be helpful, or time and a desire to help, please visit their website to find out how you can volunteer. Most importantly, get the word out to other creators who you think would be interested in getting credentialed. Help us build safer communities together. You can reach us at dtswpod@gmail.com, on Facebook, Letterboxd, and on our YouTube channel. Joe is on Blue Sky at joedixon.bsky.social. Please tell your friends about us, even the ones that are cheating on their husbands, because that's the entire premise of the movie, and leave 5-star ratings everywhere. You can pick what we watch and get extra per episode content by funding us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/dtswpod. And just in case this is coming out on video, no, I do not normally have a naked face. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't even notice that you shaved.
Respirator fit test.
This is for your job, right? How come they can't fit your respirator with the beard? It just obstructs it somehow or something?
It's not that it obstructs it. It's that it doesn't allow a seal around your face because it's a beard.
Ah. So everyone has a shave.
Yep.
Yeah. It makes you look younger. Maybe you should try just beardless for a while.
Nope.
Why not?
Number one, I have a scar right here from my second table saw accident. Number two, I just like the way it looks better. And number three, I have a mole right here that shaving around is a pain in the ass. And when I shaved yesterday, I cut it and it bled a lot. So I just rather cover all with hair and then not have to think about it.
That's interesting because neither one of those things I noticed, but the fact that you notice it, you're so self-conscious of it's kind of funny. I don't think most people see it's there, but okay, whatever. If it makes you happy to have the beard, go with the beard.
It sure does. All right,
I wish I could grow one. I can't for the life of me.
Yeah. Well, take us back to 2002 when I had to shave every day because I was in the fracking Navy.
And that's the way it was.
As much as we humans like sex, we like sex scandals almost as much. And the biggest of the early 2000s involved Representative Gere Condit. And his scandal, as in this movie we're going to discuss, also involved a murder. George, read this headline from the New York Daily News.
Chandra's body found. Cause of death still not known.
And that headline was true for the time and kind of still true now, since her body had been left in a park for over a year and had badly decomposed, making it difficult to tell how she was murdered. But the medical examiners were sure this was a homicide. He just couldn't specify if she was strangled or some other form of harm had befallen her. I mean, clearly something had befallen her, but they just couldn't nail it down. In any case, this was a huge news story in its time. But for those of you not around or just don't remember, let me give you a little background. Chandra Levy was an intern with the Federal Bureau of Prisons who was having an affair with a politician named Gere Condit. Condit was a congressman, and he quickly became a suspect in her murder. Now, in his defense, there was never any physical evidence to connect him to this woman's disappearance, let alone her death. However, he did lie about the affair to the police before having to confess it after evidence came out that he was having an affair with this woman. Plus, her friend was convinced he knew way more about what happened to her than he was admitting. I will now quote from Wikipedia. When the affair began, Condit was 53 and Levy was 23.
Yuck!
While Condit was not named as an official suspect in the disappearance, Levy's family suspected that he was withholding important information. His reputation suffered from the contrast between his pro-family politics, his adultery with a woman younger than his daughter, and his attempts to mislead the police regarding his affair. In July, 2 months after Levy disappeared, Condit agreed to let investigators search his apartment hours before the search. Police said he was spotted throwing a gift box he had received from another woman into a dumpster in a Washington suburb. This followed news reports that Condit had had an affair with a flight attendant. He was a busy, busy boy. That's me, not Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
So, not a great guy. He would never actually be charged with anything, but his scandal ruined his career and it ended his chances for re-election. Here's a twist, though. Years later, a guy would be arrested for Levy's murder. I will quote again from Wikipedia. In March 2009, a warrant was issued for the arrest of Ingmar Guadalupe, an undocumented immigrant from El Salvador who had already been convicted and imprisoned in 2 other attacks on women in Rock Creek Park. He was subsequently indicted for Levy's murder. On November 22nd, 2010, Guadalupe was found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced in February 2011 to 60 years in prison. So, a person of color from another country found guilty of the murder of a white woman. This is MAGA's red dream, right? But our story doesn't end there. Let's go back to Wiki. On June 4th, 2015, D.C. Superior Court Judge Gerald Fisher granted a motion for the retrial of Guadalupe after it was revealed that the sole witness against him, a jailhouse informant named Armando Morales, had lied about prior jailhouse testimony. Prosecutors dropped all charges against Guadalupe on July 28th, 2016, after an associate of Morales came forward with secret recordings in which he admitted to falsifying testimony about the murder of Levy. Remember that, folks. If you're on a jury and the only evidence against a guy or a gal is a jailhouse snitch, don't believe that snitch. Nobody's being put in prison and then, for no good reason, confessing their crimes to a person they aren't friends with and barely even know.
Right?
Anyway, correct. Anyway, so Condit didn't do it. This undocumented immigrant, Guadalupe, didn't do it. So who did? As of this recording, we don't know. Likely the world will never know what happened. And on that sad note, George, tell us about Unfaithful.
Okay. This was directed by Adrian Lin, whose work we saw for the show in Indecent Proposal.
And I saw his work in Deep Water.
This was written by Claude Chabrol, and this was a remake of his French film La Femme Infidèle. This is also written by Alvin Sargent. Both Joe and I have seen his work in Spider-Man's 2 and 3.
And I've seen his work in Hero and The Sterile Cuckoo.
It was also written by William Broyles Jr. For the show, we've seen his work in Jarhead, and I've seen his work in Apollo 13 and Castaway.
I would not have guessed that Jarhead would come up in this discussion at all. I mean, look, Spider-Man comes up too. I mean, obviously these guys write different things, but it's still funny. Like, interesting collection of movies that have nothing to do with this film whatsoever.
Yep. Blurbs. IMDb, keeping it short. A New York suburban couple's marriage goes dangerously awry when the wife indulges in an adulterous fling. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Isn't a fling shorter than an affair? Isn't an affair long-term and a fling is just a one-night stand?
I don't think these are terms that have concrete definitions.
Okay.
YouTube. From the director of Fatal Attraction comes a steamy thriller about a physical passion so intense it consumes everything and everyone in its path. Edward and Connie Sumner, Richard Gere, Diane Lane, have the perfect life, a happy marriage, an 8-year-old son, and a beautiful house in the suburbs. But when Connie's chance encounter with a handsome stranger, Oliver Martinez, erupts into a full-blown affair, desire becomes obsession, and the true price of betrayal takes a shattering toll. Pulsing with heart-pounding suspense and erotic thrills, Unfaithful is sexy, stylish, and seductive. That's a lot. Points for alliteration on the end there.
That's a lot. Are you sure it's not Martinez and not Martinez?
I'm going to go with whatever I say when I say it.
Okay, that's fine. That's why I didn't correct you. I have no idea.
So the film opens on a windy day in Nyack, New York, a suburb within commuting distance of New York City. We go to the kitchen of the Sumner family, where the mom, Connie, is washing dishes.
Connie Sumner is played by Diane Lane. Both George and I have seen her in Inside Out, heard, I should say, and we saw her in Man of Steel. On my own, I saw her in Tully, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, don't blame her for that movie, and The Cotton Club.
And I've seen her in The Outsiders and Judge Dredd. The family child...
Wasn't there a comic book, Batman and The Outsiders? Is the same thing?
I don't know.
No, it's not. I'm making a joke. The Outsiders were like these it was a teen book for the youths, as I remember it. I forget who the author was. And Batman and the Outsiders was something completely different.
Okay, then. The family child, Charlie, is playing a violent handheld video game under the kitchen table. And
Charlie Sumner is played by Eric Purr Sullivan. I've seen him in The Cider House Rules, and, of course, I know mainly from Malcolm in the Middle.
And I've seen him in Armageddon and heard him in Finding Nemo. The husband, Edward, comes down, and Connie tells him his sweater is on inside out, as Charlie proudly displays his ability to make fart noises with his armpit.
Isn't he precocious?
Yeah. Edward Sumner is played by Richard Gere. For the show, we've seen him in An Officer and a Gentleman and Pretty Woman. Joe and I have both seen him in Chicago.
And, of course, I've seen him in The Cotton Club and Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
And I've seen him in First Night and The Jackal. Connie takes Charlie into the bathroom to brush his teeth, as Edward watches the news, lamenting not having bought a certain stock when it was cheaper. Connie sees her...
Well, he would not be happy with... Well, I guess he would be very happy with the market now. Stocks are way down, baby. You can buy as much as you want.
Yep. Connie sees her husband and son out the door, struggling against the wind. Edward drives Charlie to school on his way to work as the owner of an armored truck company.
Okay, I'm going to just stop you right there. Now, did you notice when they first go out the door, wind is blowing, 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 blowing. Then when he's saying goodbye to his wife, she sees him through the window. There's no wind. It's like nothing. It's like, how did the director not notice that?
I mean, the wind abated for just long enough for him to make armpit mimicry at her.
That was the sun. And he was indoors at that.
No, but when outside, the husband does it. Like, ha, ha, ha.
Oh, I didn't even notice. I just remember waving. I just noticed there was no wind. That's what I was focused on, God damn it.
And Connie turns back into the house to get ready to go shopping for something for an auction she's organizing and for supplies for Charlie's upcoming birthday party. Connie makes her way to Grand Central Station in Manhattan before going to Soho to get party supplies. The wind is fierce and the ground wet, making footing treacherous. So treacherous...
Why do you suppose a woman leaves Grand Central Station and goes all the way down to Soho? Like, in the area of Grand Central Station is Times Square. There's a bunch of stuff you can buy there.
If you want to buy things and not pay more than top dollar for them, you don't go to fucking Times Square to buy anything.
You don't go to Soho either, buddy.
Soho's cheaper than Times Square.
Oh, I challenge you on that. They're both tourist traps.
Fair. It's so treacherous that she is sent flying into the already full of books arms of a local book dealer. They collide and set about trying to rescue each other's cargo.
I don't... It's so weird. The first time we see him is books. We see books all in that apartment. I guess we'll get into the apartment he's staying in. And I'm like, all right, he's a book dealer. Do you really make money that just keep him in your house? I mean, does he go put them online and sell them to people? I mean, how does that even work? He seems to have the books. He doesn't seem to be selling them.
Good question, Joe. Number one, he's living there for free because it's his friend's place.
Yes, probably.
So he doesn't he doesn't have to be making a lot of money.
I guess.
Things are more or less gathered. and then she asks his assistance in hailing a cab. Why is it that in movies, nobody knows how to recognize that a cab is not available? Like, they keep trying to flag down cabs that they can see are not taking customers, either because they already have a fare or are off the clock. We know this because cabs have light-up numbers on their roofs to indicate it.
Also, it's very curious that, I know it's 2002, so there weren't that many cell phones around, although they did exist. But nobody thinks, well, I'll just make a call and have a cab come get me. That is the way we used to do it. Yep. Call the cab company. We'd have a number that we could call.
Not having any luck, he makes light of the situation. He notices that she has scraped up her legs in the fall and says that since they're already at his building, she should come up and get some medical attention. He promises he's not an ex-murderer.
He sure isn't.
She briefly clocks that a vacant cab is rolling right on by before agreeing to go up to the stranger's apartment.
Mm.
And that vacant cab going by will come back later.
Yes, sure.
Briefly. The elevator is broke, so they take all of the stairs. It's like going to Joe's place. Or my friend Eunice's place.
I'm sure neither of us has a place as big as this guy's.
Or my old friend Kelly's place. Actually, almost everybody that I've ever visited in Manhattan I've had to walk up numerous flights of stairs to get to their apartment.
By the way, I've been in a few Soho apartments, but not, I guess it's possible, but I dare to say that elevator is not an elevator I've ever seen in New York City. Not that design, not at all. That's a very French-looking elevator.
Yeah. His apartment is filled to the brim with books. Many of them are rare. He directs her to the bathroom to care for her knee while he makes them tea. When done, she borrows his phone to call home, and the stranger surprises her with an ice pack on her knee. They finally trade names. We know hers already. That kind, handsome book dealer in shining armor is Paul Martell, and he is played by Oliver Martinez. Or Martinez. Or some other pronunciation that I have no idea what it is. Connie tries to take her leave, but he insists that she take a book that may or may not be full of Persian poetry. He guides her to a specific page, and she reads the only sound clip in this film.
Drink wine. This is life eternal. This all that youth will give to you. It is the season for wine, roses, and drunken friends. Be happy for this moment. This moment is your life.
This is not the only sound clip in this film. It's the only sound clip in this podcast.
Oh, in this episode. There's an end clip, too. There's just not much interesting conversation in this film.
Oh, they don't converse a lot, no. That's not what they do with each other.
Yep. She makes her way home, where their housekeeper is folding laundry and Charlie is watching WWE. Charlie sees her examining her wounds and grabs a Polaroid camera to take pictures for school, where they're talking about blood and stuff.
I'd love to know, what class is that?
Biology?
Did you have biology that young? Because he's still in elementary school.
Kid's a genius. Later, Edward comes home and she tells him what happened, and she mentions that a nice guy patched her up. Edward asks if he was good looking before Charlie asks for his help with homework.
She wouldn't have answered that question anyway.
Nope. And he says he's like, we should send him a bottle of wine. Later that night, Connie puts the book she got from Paul on a shelf and then goes into the bedroom wearing a nightie, where Edward is trying to figure out how to work an old school video camera. Things start to get sexy before Charlie wakes up and says he can't sleep.
That damn kid is just ruining all their mojo.
Yep. The next day, I guess Edward left much earlier because Charlie is sent out on his own, after complaining that he doesn't want to be a bunny in the school play coming up.
Which begs the question, doesn't he drive him? How did he get to school then?
I guess he took a bus that day.
Does the school bus work that way?
Walked.
Like they'll still stop by even if you don't normally take it, like your dad drives you?
Maybe the bus normally does take him and his dad drives him every once in a while.
Okay.
The next day, alone in the house, Connie grabs the book again and a card with Paul's phone number falls out. She goes all the way to Grand Central to use a payphone to call him. He almost misses the call, but she picks up just in time because the movie needed another 30 seconds. She just wanted his address to send him a bottle of wine, but he suggests she join him for coffee at his place instead. She accepts this suggestion. Yeah.
I was going to make some sort of point. I can't remember what it was.
You in the movie.
You know, it's so funny. She goes all the way to Grand Central to make this phone call to this man. Like, okay, whatever. I guess she's thinking like, should I? Shouldn't I? He does look delicious. But he is home a lot. I mean, this man.
Yep.
He does not his job appears not that demanding, even though we saw him carrying all those books.
He makes some jokes about health insurance in the hallway before inviting her in. He shows her some rare books, and they bond over both speaking French. He grabs the coffee and takes her hand to run her fingers over the pages of the Braille edition of the Joy of Cooking cookbook. That's the end clip. She beats a hasty retreat. She heads to visit her husband at work, stopping on the way to buy him a new sweater. He's in a meeting with an employee, Bill, which is just wrapping up. Pin in that employee. He has to take a work call that shows him in a somewhat demanding light, but he drops that immediately after hanging up. He asks who she's been hitting up for the auction, and she lies about some guy named Bob.
Which, as smart as she is, you think she'd go like, what if, he knows who Bob is.
Yep.
So she would think, she may talk to Bob at some point. Maybe I should talk to him first.
Yeah,
something.
The movie gets that point too.
Yes.
Later that night, after dinner, she's noticeably distracted while washing dishes, in a way that Edward picks up on but doesn't follow up on. Next day, she's back at Paul's place, listening to I Do. I think it was described as African jazz.
African jazz, yeah. That's what they called it.
Just sounded like jazz to me.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably different instruments that they don't use in America.
He asks her to dance. She accepts. Things start getting hot, and she tries to bail but forgets her coat. When she comes back in for it, the sex happens. I'm not going to get much into it because it's good. It's good cinematic sex. It's art. And Diane Lane was worried, and when it came out, she's like, no, I am actually really pleased with how well it came out.
I certainly prefer their first encounter to what the hell happened in that the Chinese movie.
Oh, yeah. In Lust Caution.
Lust Caution, like Jesus. There's no question this was completely consensual.
Yeah. She spends the trade ride home expressing simultaneous excitement, shame, guilt, anxiety, and joy before going to wash her panties in the train bathroom.
Oh, is that? I knew she was cleaning. I also thought she was cleaning herself. Just
that too.
It wasn't when,
But I didn't want to feel like mentioning it. She's washing her coot.
Okay, well, I did. God damn it.
On the way home from work, Edward runs into Bob and learns that Connie hadn't talked to him about the auction. It's dismissed as, maybe she talked to Bob's wife. And then the movie just drops it.
Yes. Well, we can tell it's still in the back of Edward's mind.
Yeah.
It sticks with him because other things start coming up as well.
At home, she's doing her best to not let on that something has changed. She leaves Edward in his study and picks up one of their many snow globes. She'll end up giving that to Paul as a gift.
Ooh, boy.
That is Chekhov's fucking snow globe.
It is indeed.
And this is a more correct use of Chekhov than I usually get away with doing, because this snow globe becomes a fucking murder weapon.
It does.
Spoiler.
For a movie that's over 20 years old, yeah.
Yeah. God. It is. We see a montage of phone calls and sex with Paul, and then her family life with Ed and Charlie. Near the end, while she's sleeping, Paul sharpies an arrow on her hip, pointing inward to you-know-where.
Why do you suppose he did that?
I don't fucking know, Joe. That seems like a terrible thing to do to somebody who's married.
Yes, if you don't want the affair to come out.
Yeah.
Maybe part of him did. Although we'll find out later. It's not that. She's more committed to this thing than he is.
No, well, I'll mention how much of a fucking hypocrite his ass is, too. Then they're in a cafe together. Then Paul and Connie are in a cafe together. She's feeling super self-conscious and wants to leave. Paul proposes a bet, If the nearer of the two men at another table who are arguing over who pays the check pays, they stay and kiss. If the other guy pays, they go. Well, Paul wins. They stay and kiss. That guy who paid the check looks back, and that happens to be Bill from Edward's office. And he definitely recognizes that his boss's wife is making out with someone who's not their boss.
Mm-hmm. Now, that scene and a couple of other scenes later really begs the question, does Connie want to get caught? Because these people all live in New York State. Every single one of them come to New York City. She lives in the burbs. She knows her husband works in the city. All her friends either work or live in the city. What is she thinking being out in public with this man?
Good questions, Joe. Later, at home, she's taking a relaxing bath and notices that Sharpie mark. She tries to scrub it off. Very Othello-like, I think. Like the I can't get it off of my hands thing.
Was that Othello or was that Macbeth?
I think that was Macbeth, but also it was Casino Royale with Daniel Craig. She does the fucking what's her name? Vesper does that in the shower when she helps him kill those 3 black guys.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
I didn't see the movie.
One day, you and I are going to sit down and watch all the Daniel Craig James Bonds just for fun.
Maybe we'll just watch all the Bonds. We can spend it could be a series.
An entire fucking weekend doing that. I'm down.
Well, I'm not talking about entire week. I'm just saying, like, we'll just have episodes. Each episode will be a Bond until we run out of Bonds.
Oh, Jesus.
Or at least until, like, up to 10 years before the last.
I feel like that's a second podcast we'd be starting. I don't think we could take our mismatch of different movies from varying ages and go full Bond for... Oh, I have to look this up now.
It would have to be at least a couple of weeks, if not a whole month. Maybe more, maybe 2 months. A Bond.
27.
Well, we're not going to watch. We won't watch out 27. We still do the 10-minute thing, unless you don't. I'm not 10-minute, 10-year thing. 10-minute. Unless you don't want to.
We could spend 6 months doing nothing but James Bond movies.
It'd be 6. So yeah, I don't mind. I don't care.
Listen,
although probably repetitive after a while.
Yeah.
Since
oh, he killed the bad guy and had sex. Color me shocked. Anyway, Edward decides to join her in the bathtub. He is feeling that it's romantic and vulnerable, but all of a sudden she's cold and wants to go to the bedroom. And it kind of kills the mood. The next day, Edward tries to get a lunch date with his wife, who looks for all the world to be getting ready for a date, but she says she has a hair appointment at a certain place and won't be able to. So at work, he calls that salon and finds that there is no appointment on the books for his wife. She is bad at lying.
Yeah, I mean, we can see that she's bad at lying, but also you can see that he is suspicious. Otherwise, he would never have made that call to check if she was telling the truth or not. He would just believe her, like, oh, okay, she's busy.
On her way to Paul's, she runs into 2 fundraising women that she knows, who drag her into a cafe. She calls Paul from there. He shows up a few minutes later, and she excuses herself to go have sex with him in the bathroom.
Again, it's like, you have friends walking in the neighborhood in which your lover lives. What are you doing? Do you think Carter wants to get caught?
You take me to the best places, she says to him as he takes her into a bathroom stall and fucks her.
I mean, obviously some of this is just fun. She's like, it's just, here I am. I still want to be married. I still want to be my wife. I want to still be a wife and mother. But here's this exciting thing I'm doing with this guy.
Yeah, that's why people cheat, Joe.
I don't think it's always just...
That's one of the many reasons that people cheat.
Sure.
When she returns to the table, the conversation turns to that hunk and affairs and how they ruin marriages. Finally, at Paul's, she floats the idea of breaking up, but Paul says that would hurt him, so they have sex again. At the garage for his armored trucks, Edward meets with that employee, Bill, who saw Connie and Paul together, and fires him for apparently shopping around to other companies. Edward makes one of those stupid corporate analogies to families, and on his way out, Bill says he should really take a look at his own family.
That scene was so dumb. I mean, First of all, you have to feel for Bill in that whole scene. Number one, Bill could have just totally blown his world up if he wanted to. Like, oh yeah, well, let me tell you what your wife is up to. He does it for some reason. But also, it's like, okay, so I'm talking to other people about other jobs. Yeah. I'm allowed to do that. I'm not your property. I can investigate other opportunities. What the fuck? It was such a weird thing. Like, how dare you? It's about loyalty. Like,
I don't know, Joe. If you went to Todd and said, hey, Todd, do you want to do a podcast together? I'd have to kill you. Edward hires a PI that he usually uses for corporate stuff to follow his wife. At home, yeah. At home, you don't have to put a pin in that. That one just happened. What you expect to happen from this happens.
Yes, but I want to revisit that when the police get involved.
Oh, yeah. At home, a very distracted Connie is making a mess of dinner. At dinner, Edward announces that he has to go to Chicago the next day. So he leaves before she wakes up.
Do you think he filmed Chicago after he left the set? Because wasn't Chicago the next movie he does after this? Maybe.
You're gonna make me look. My mouse doesn't want to accept clicks. The next film that he did.
So Richard Gere, like, he literally is going to Chicago, the movie.
We get a montage of him in Chicago doing business stuff and his wife fucking Paul back in New York, in a movie theater no less. The PI gets lots of evidence.
You know, I've never seen anyone have sex on the seats in a movie theater, but I once was walking through the aisles and I stepped on this couple who were on the floor, which has got to be pretty
gross. That's like second to like the floor of a taxi.
Well, you know, the weirdest place I've seen people have sex, and I have seen many a times in my life, my long life, I've walked in on people, was in Washington Square Park.
Oh, that parks are fair game.
Yeah, but Washington Square Park? You've been in that park. And it's not a park where can you hide?
You can't.
Yeah, that's just it. So, like, Jesus Christ, guys, like, people just walking by.
Anyhow, Connie falls asleep on Paul and is very late picking Charlie up from school. There's a parking ticket in our car when she leaves his place.
Put a pin in that.
Yep. That night, she's crying and tries to call Paul, but Charlie interrupts her. Back in town, Edward meets with the PI and gets all the photos and confirmation that he needs. Connie can't focus on grocery shopping, so she drives to Manhattan and catches Paul with another woman in a bookstore. She yells at him all the way back up to his apartment before they engage in some rough hallway sex. Rough hallway makeup sex. But she's like, you liar. And he's like, oh, really? Married lady who's fucking me? Pin in that because...
Yes. But also, number one, a couple of things. In all fairness to him, he made no commitment to her.
No, he didn't.
He never said, hey, this is just you and me. You know, he never claimed that. And number two, what apartment building is this? That apartment is not only incredible, but apparently has no neighbors. You can
none.
Just fuck outside in the hallway and with no chance of anybody walking by.
Yep. Edward arrives and Connie leaves right around the same time, but without seeing each other. Because this would have been a different murder story if Edward gains access to the building and confronts Paul in his apartment. Paul offers him a drink, and he accepts twice. That was probably a bad idea.
See, if
cold open. Yep.
Yes, if he had done as I did in the cold open, he'd be okay.
Edward notices that snow globe from earlier, experiences a breakdown, and then bashes Paul over the head with it twice, killing him.
Can a snow globe really cause that much damage? I mean, he's bleeding profusely.
Yes.
Oh, you looked this up?
Yes, it can. Yep. Because he's not hit with the glass, he's hit with the sturdy wooden base of it.
Twice.
Yep. Edward takes some time to collect himself and tries to clean up the scene as best he can. He listens as Connie leaves a voicemail telling Paul that it's over. He wraps Paul's body in a sheet.
Remember, he deletes that voicemail. Because that voicemail had been on that phone.
Well, yeah, but he listens to it.
But
he listens to it as it's recorded, but then he deletes it. Like, it's part of him cleaning up.
Yes. I'm just simply saying that because if the cops had heard that.
Yeah. He wraps Paul's body in a sheet and rug before driving to join Connie at Charlie's school play. After the play, after his family is asleep, he drives Paul's body to the dump and just leaves it there. You'd think a guy who owns an armored truck company would know at least a little bit more about how to dispose of a body.
Well, I mean, he certainly is proficient in getting rid of one. I mean, he knew exactly what to do. I got to wrap it in a carpet. I got to tape it up. I mean, he knew that much. Although at no point did I believe that body was in that carpet, because he was carrying it a little too easily, even though he's like, come on, that guy is big. I mean, Paul's a full-grown man. I don't think you're carrying him that easily, his dead weight around. No, not at all.
Yep. Now, both Edward and Connie start acting weird. The cops show up while Edward is at work, saying that Paul's wife reported him missing. Fucking asshole.
Well, again...
Now, the thing is, he may have had a different arrangement with...
That's true. We don't know. They were French, after all.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I am convinced that apartment he's staying in is his wife's. I think she's a sculptor that he was talking about. That's the friend.
I see no reason not to run with that. Their son's birthday party is fucking awkward, and later the cops show up again because Paul's body was found. Nobody here knows nothing. That's their story, and they're sticking to it. When Connie picks up the family dry cleaning, she finds the envelope with the pictures from the PI in Edward's coat, and then knows that her husband knows.
Dun, dun, dun. Her husband, as needy as he is, you think he'd be smart enough not to leave the photographs in his suit jacket and then put it for the cleaners. Although I did know, I remember there was this comic that was telling the story of he bought some marijuana and forgot to take it out of his jacket, so he took it to the dry cleaners. But he got it back, and they put the marijuana on the suit jacket. They pinned it to it like it was like part of the suit or something.
Oh, like they took it out of the pocket so it wouldn't get damaged and then attached it? That's very nice of them, actually.
I'm not sure they fully understood what it was, because marijuana wasn't...
I do think they knew exactly what it was, and they just didn't want to fuck with this guy's weed.
I guess, but marijuana wasn't legal at the time, so...
Yeah, that doesn't mean they didn't know what it was.
Okay.
Because it almost certainly wasn't the first time that it happened.
Yeah, that's fair. You're probably right, yeah.
Hosting a dinner party, someone asks about a snow globe, and Connie sees the one that she gave Paul is back. So now she knows that her husband knows and that her husband killed her lover. Later that night, after the guests have left, they exchange words, and he says that in that moment he wanted to kill her, not Paul. I mean, I get it. Yeah.
Although it's very curious, at no point is she particularly afraid of him. For all his...
Because he does love her. Even though he says he hates her, he loves her, and she knows that.
Yeah, because for all his rage, he never even so much as raises his hand to her.
Nope. A few days later, she's looking at their family photos and picks up that snow globe. She discovers that the globe comes out and that Edward had put a photo of their family in it, with a note saying, "Don't open until our 25th anniversary."
See, that's why he was so pissed about that particular globe. And he says, like, why would you give this to... Because you didn't know that was in there. But to him, it's like, oh my God, I gave you this for our 25th anniversary. How could you do this?
Yeah, this wasn't...
Bad enough you're having an affair, but you gave him that particular globe? That's what put him over the edge.
Yeah. That night, she burns the photos from the PI and imagines a past where she had caught that cab instead of going to Paul's apartment.
Yep.
The film ends with Connie and Edward in their car at a green light in an intersection next to a police station discussing how they can move forward without turning himself in.
Yeah.
The end.
Now, the end. And before we get to our conclusions, I do want to, because I did put some pins in here. And the reason I did this is because there is no reality in which this woman's getting away with. I mean, either she'll be charged with murder or her husband would be. And there's more evidence of her, although they now know that the husband would know. Because the PI knows about the affair.
Yep.
And it's Dave or whatever that
Bill.
Former employee knows.
Yep.
At some point, they're going to find out about this. and also the PI or whatever he is, I think they're legally obligated. If I just revealed, I spied on someone and that person winds up murdered, I think they have to go to the police. Otherwise, they could be charged as an accomplice, or at the very least lose their license. So there is no way this thing just ends there, regardless of whether he turns himself in or not. But I like that ending. I did like the ambiguous ending.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
agree with you on that.
Yeah. So, my friend, do you think this still works?
Yeah. Art acting wise, I bought every character in this. And like, don't get me wrong, I don't like watching this movie. This movie is an uncomfortable movie for me because I experienced being cheated on a bunch. And I also cheated a bunch. Like, it both ways. It sucks. It's not, that's why nobody should cheat. Like, you should break up if you're going to cheat, because breaking up you heal from. Cheating, it just keeps fucking hurting. But no, the acting was really, really good, especially Diane Lane. So, I got to say it works.
Agree with you 100%. I was very engaged in this. I was captured from the very moment it started. I really enjoyed this picture.
Was this your first time seeing it? Was this your first time seeing it?
No.
Oh.
I had seen it before, but I hadn't seen it in a long time. So, but yeah, so I guess I still liked it, I guess is what I'm saying. But it flows very well. I don't think I didn't find the sex scenes particularly exploitive, because sometimes, as we discussed before, there'll be scenes and they were like, okay, am I supposed to be is the director trying to get me off or get himself off of this?
Right.
Sling is like, oh, I'm not crazy about this. I thought this is real eroticism.
Yeah.
Genuine. And the acting's all excellent. Everyone pitches a great performance. Like, they're very engaged in it. And I like the way they didn't just end with someone being arrested or whatever. It's like, what do we do next? Which is legitimately what you will be asking, and then it ends. I appreciated that. Some people hated that ending.
I believe it.
This also got apparently it's only like 50 or something on Rotten Tomatoes or something. I don't know why this didn't get better reviews. I thought it was excellent. I don't know why some people were turned off by it.
Me neither, Joe.
But yeah, good film.
Right.
They're both great. Still works.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's hard to get adultery really wrong, because that's a topic that we're all going to have, as long as there's marriages, or at the very least there are couples, there's going to be some form of cheating, and there's always going to be movies about them.
Yep.
Because that's just part of the human condition, I guess. All right, George, what's up next?
Our next episode is a Patron's Choice episode, and the patrons have chosen Close Encounters of the Third Kind from 1977. If you want to vote but are not a patron, you can fix that by becoming one at patreon.com/DTSWpod.
So I guess that's it for this episode. I'm Joe Dixon. Thanks for listening.
And I'm George Romanka. Thanks for listening indeed, because if a podcast drops and there's nobody around to hear it, it's just another collection of ones and zeros that doesn't matter.
My mother makes me chicken. Her chicken makes me cough. I wish that when she made it, she took the feathers off.
You've been listening to Does This Still Work? Produced by Joe Dixon and George Romanka. This content is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org. The hosts can be reached via social media, email, or the contact page at dtswpod.com. Be good to yourself and others, because that still works.
Charlie Sumner is played by Eric Per Sullivan?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yep.
He's Per Sullivan?
Yep. Starting with the No Stupid Questions Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
How do I professionally say I did not attend as the meeting was scheduled outside my set work hours? From Stupid Questions. If you're lost at sea and can't drink seawater, then what do you drink? So, from Random Questions. If dogs had a secret underground society, what would their biggest conspiracy theory be about humans? So, back to No Stupid Questions. It's 2025. Why is it still fucking impossible to correctly position an image in Microsoft Word without it messing up the entire format of the document? And then from Random, because we have a special guest subreddit we're going after. Do you believe the American dream is dead? Oh, would I be the asshole if I keep my ex's life insurance payout instead of giving it to his pregnant girlfriend?